The power of small daily habits is one of the most underestimated forces in shaping a human life. We often imagine transformation as something dramatic, a sudden breakthrough, a huge opportunity, a life-changing moment that shifts everything. But real life doesn't work like that. Success does not arrive like a lightning strike. Growth doesn't happen in a single loud moment. It happens quietly, slowly, patiently, through small decisions that you repeat every single day, whether someone is watching or not. Think about it. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight, yet every day it absorbs just a little sunlight, a little water, a little nourishment. The growth is invisible but constant. And one day it stands tall, unshakable, offering shade, shelter, and fruits. Your life is no different. The habits you repeat might feel insignificant now, but over weeks and months, they shape your identity far more than any moment of motivation ever will. When you choose to wake up 10 minutes earlier, when you choose to read a single page of a book, when you choose to take a short walk instead of scrolling, when you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you are not just performing a small action. You are casting a vote for the person you wish to become. Every small action whispers, "This is who I am becoming." And slowly, your identity starts shifting from the inside. We make the mistake of believing that unless something is big, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, big things collapse without small habits. A person who wants peace must practice small moments of calm daily. Someone who wants confidence must take small steps outside their comfort zone daily. A person who wants fitness must make small food and movement choices daily. These small steps accumulate. They build momentum. They become a lifestyle. Imagine two people standing side by side. One improves by just 1% every day. The other gets worse by 1% every day. On day 1, they look the same. On day 10, still not much difference. But over months, over a year, their paths become completely different. That is the magic of small daily habits. They compound. Just like money grows with interest, your habits grow with consistency. But here's the catch. Small habits are easy to do and also easy not to do. That's why people ignore them. Drinking 1 glass of water, writing 1 paragraph, meditating for 2 minutes, none of these tasks feel urgent. Missing 1 day doesn't feel harmful. So we postpone, we delay, we promise ourselves we'll start tomorrow, and that one tomorrow becomes 10 years of stuck life. The difference between the life you want and the life you have is hidden inside your daily routines. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. You can dream as big as you want, but unless your daily actions align with that dream, nothing changes. A dream without daily discipline becomes a wish. But a dream supported by small habits becomes a plan, and eventually a reality. Small habits are powerful because they are sustainable. Anyone can run with motivation for 1 week, but habits allow you to move even when you don't feel motivated. Motivation gives you the push, habits give you the direction. With good habits, you don't need to force yourself every day. Your mind starts to expect the action, your body starts supporting it, and your life adapts to it. Small habits also build self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you silently tell your mind, "I can rely on you." Over time, this builds inner confidence. It reduces self-doubt. It strengthens your relationship with yourself. You stop needing external validation because your consistency becomes your strength. And understand this. Small habits are not only about doing more, they are also about removing small negative routines. A few minutes of complaining each day makes you bitter over the years. 5 minutes of gossip daily makes you judgmental. 10 minutes of overthinking daily keeps you anxious. Small habits can push your life forward or pull it down, but they never leave you in the same place. So ask yourself, what small daily habits are shaping your life today? Are they leading you toward the person you want to become or away from them? If your answer makes you uncomfortable, that's good. Awareness is the first step, because once you become aware, you can choose again. You can start small, but you must start. No habit is too tiny if repeated consistently. Even a single mindful breath a day plants the seed of inner peace. Even a 2-minute walk plants the seed of discipline. Even one sentence written every day plants the seed of creativity. The most beautiful thing about small habits is this: they don't overwhelm you, they don't exhaust you, they don't demand everything from you. They simply ask for a little commitment, a little time, a little intention, and in return, they give you a completely different life. Your future is built in the smallest moments of your present. Transform those moments, and your entire 2026 will transform with them. Clarity is more important than motivation, because without clarity, even the strongest motivation eventually fades. Motivation is like a spark. It can feel powerful, inspiring, energizing, but if you don't know where to direct that energy, it burns out quickly. Clarity, on the other hand, is like a compass. It may not always feel exciting, but it always keeps you pointed in the right direction. And a person with direction will always go further than a person who is only excited. Most people don't struggle because they lack ability. They struggle because they lack clarity. They wake up every morning feeling mentally crowded, emotionally confused, and spiritually scattered. They want change, but don't know what exactly they want. They want success, but don't know what success means to them personally. They want happiness, but haven't defined what truly makes them feel alive. And without that clarity, life becomes a constant cycle of starting and stopping, trying and quitting, dreaming and doubting. Clarity is powerful because it simplifies life. When you know what you truly want, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop chasing the approval of others. You stop comparing yourself with people who are walking a completely different path. Clarity gives you permission to let go of noise and focus on your vision. It helps you filter opportunities, relationships, habits, and decisions. Suddenly, you realize that half the stress in your life came from being unsure of your own direction. Motivation comes from the outside, a speech, a video, a quote, but clarity comes from the inside. Clarity requires you to sit with yourself, ask uncomfortable questions, and be honest about what you want and what you're afraid of. It requires you to strip away expectations, fear of judgment, and societal pressure. Only then can you see your true desires clearly. And once a person gains clarity, even a little bit, their life starts to move forward with new strength. Think of a ship at sea. Motivation is like the wind, strong, beautiful, powerful. But if the captain doesn't set the route, the wind only pushes the ship randomly. The ship might move fast, but it won't reach anywhere meaningful. Clarity sets the direction. Clarity decides the destination. A person with clarity can move without motivation, but a person with motivation cannot move without clarity. Why do people lose consistency? Because they're trying to be disciplined without knowing why they're doing what they're doing. When your purpose is weak, distractions become powerful. When your purpose is strong, distractions lose their grip. Clarity answers the question, why does this matter to me? Once that answer becomes emotionally meaningful, discipline becomes easier, even natural. Clarity also protects your mental health. When you don't know your priorities, everything feels urgent. Every message feels important. Every small failure feels huge. Every opinion feels personal. But when you're clear about your direction, you're no longer shaken by every minor shake. You develop inner stability. You gain perspective. You remain calm even when things don't go your way because you know where you're heading. People often say they feel lost, but feeling lost is simply being disconnected from clarity. You may be busy, but you're not moving towards something meaningful. You may be doing a lot, but you're not doing what aligns with your soul. Sometimes, clarity requires you to pause instead of pushing harder. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is step back and ask, what am I truly trying to build? Clarity doesn't mean having your entire future figured out. It means having the courage to define your next step. It means knowing the kind of person you want to become, the type of life you want to lead, and the values you refuse to compromise on. When you know these things, every choice becomes easier. You stop wondering. You stop doubting yourself. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You simply move forward. Another secret is this: clarity brings confidence. Not because you suddenly become capable, but because you finally understand your path. And once you understand your path, uncertainty loses its power to intimidate you. Confidence is not built by knowing all the answers. It is built by knowing your direction. Even a slow journey feels meaningful when you know where you're heading. Clarity also reduces the emotional chaos in your life. Once you know what truly matters, you stop giving energy to what doesn't. You stop holding on to relationships that drain you. You stop accepting commitments that don't align with your growth. You stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. You begin to design your life intentionally instead of living it reactively. If you want your 2026 to be different, don't start with motivation, start with clarity. Sit down with yourself and ask, what do I truly want? What brings me peace? What drains my energy? What excites me? What kind of person do I want to become? These answers will become the blueprint for your next 30 days. Once you gain clarity, even small steps will start to feel powerful. You will walk cleaner, think clearer, and leave calmer. Clarity gives direction, and direction gives meaning. And when life becomes meaningful, motivation naturally follows. Build clarity, and your future will build itself. Discipline over mood is one of the greatest shifts a person can make in their life, because moods are temporary, but discipline is transformational. Your mood changes with the weather, with the people around you, with your energy levels, with your emotions, and sometimes for no reason at all. But discipline stands firm. Discipline doesn't care if you woke up excited or tired, inspired or stressed. Discipline simply says, This is what I committed to, and I will show up. That simple attitude practiced daily can change your entire destiny. Most people wait for the perfect feeling before they take action. They wait for motivation, they wait for inspiration, they wait to feel ready. But readiness is an illusion. If you only act when you feel like it, you become controlled by your moods. You become a slave to your emotions, and your life moves in circles instead of forward. Discipline breaks that cycle. Discipline steps in when the mind hesitates. Discipline takes action when the heart resists. Discipline shows up even when the mood doesn't cooperate. Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who achieve, the ones who grow, the ones who seem unshakable. They are not always in a good mood. In fact, they face the same emotional ups and downs as everyone else. The difference is simple. They don't rely on their moods to decide their actions. They rely on their discipline. They understand that consistency matters more than excitement. Showing up matters more than feeling good. Progress matters more than temporary discomfort. Your mood will always try to negotiate. It will tell you, just rest today, even when rest is not what you need. It will tell you, you can do it tomorrow, knowing very well that tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. It will tell you, you're not ready, when readiness only comes after you begin. The mind is clever. It creates excuses that sound logical. But discipline recognizes these excuses. Discipline says, I hear you, but we're doing this anyway. When you practice discipline, you build inner strength that moods cannot shake. You create a mental foundation that remains stable regardless of how you feel. Some days you will be energized, some days drained. Some days inspired, some days confused. But discipline keeps your path consistent. Discipline gives you stability when emotions fluctuate. It creates reliability within yourself. It builds trust in your own character. Discipline also teaches you self-respect. Every time you do something you said you would do, even when you didn't feel like it, you strengthen your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That self-image is powerful. It gives you confidence, pride, and a deep sense of integrity. Over time, you stop looking for external motivation because your internal reliability becomes your motivation. But here's the truth. Discipline doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. It doesn't mean ignoring rest or pushing yourself to exhaustion or suppressing emotions. Real discipline means knowing the difference between what your mood wants and what your future needs. It means honoring your commitments, not punishing yourself. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It means loving yourself enough to keep your promises. One of the main reasons people struggle with discipline is because they confuse comfort with happiness. Comfort feels good right now, staying in bed, scrolling social media, avoiding difficult tasks, but it rarely creates long-term fulfillment. Discipline can feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it creates long-term satisfaction. A completed workout, a finished task, a kept promise, a small step forward. These things create pride. Pride builds confidence. Confidence builds momentum. And momentum builds success. Discipline also reduces the emotional roller coaster that comes from living only by mood. When you depend on your mood, you constantly ask yourself, do I feel like doing this? That question creates stress, because the answer keeps changing. Discipline removes that question entirely. It replaces it with a simple, quiet decision. I will do this because it aligns with my vision. This reduces confusion. It reduces hesitation. It reduces mental clutter. Another powerful gift of discipline is the ability to handle adversity. When life gets difficult, and it will, your mood will drop, challenges will rise, emotions will fluctuate, and motivation will disappear. But discipline will hold you steady. Discipline becomes your anchor during storms. It keeps you moving when everything else tries to pull you back. It reminds you that progress is possible even on the hardest days. The people who achieve meaningful change in their lives don't have perfect moods. They simply have consistent habits. They learned that mood is a visitor, but discipline is a resident. Mood is loud, but discipline is wise. Mood changes with emotion, but discipline is built from intention. If you want your 2026 to be different, you must stop negotiating with your mood and start honoring your future. Act not because you feel like it, but because you are committed to becoming someone better. Commit to the daily actions that build your growth, even on the days your mood tries to delay them. You will notice a profound shift. Your mood may resist in the beginning, but eventually it will begin to follow your discipline. Your future self is shaped not by how you feel, but by what you repeatedly do. Let discipline lead the way, and mood will fall in line. This is how transformation begins, not in the moments when you feel strong, but in the moments when you choose strength even while feeling weak. This is the power that changes lives. A morning routine sets the tone for your entire day, because the first moments after you wake up are like fresh soil. Whatever you plant there grows throughout the next 24 hours. Most people wake up and immediately hand over their peace to chaos. They reach for their phones, check notifications, scroll social media, compare themselves to others, absorb negativity, and enter the day with a busy mind and a tired heart. They start the morning reacting instead of creating, and the way you begin the day determines how you handle everything else that comes after. A peaceful, intentional morning routine is not about doing 20 different tasks perfectly. It's about creating a sacred space for yourself before the world tries to take your attention. It's about reminding your mind who is in control. It's about grounding your emotions before they get pulled in multiple directions. And most importantly, it's about aligning your energy with the kind of life you want to live. When you wake up, your mind is at its most sensitive state. Your subconscious is open. Your thoughts are impressionable. Whatever you feed your mind in those first few minutes becomes the foundation of your attitude, your focus, and your emotional strength for the day. If you feed it calmness, gratitude, intention, and clarity, you walk through the day with more confidence and stability. If you feed it stress, noise, or mindless distractions, you walk through the day feeling scattered, anxious, and drained. A morning routine is not merely a habit, it is a message you send to yourself. A message that says, I value my mind, I value my peace, I value my growth. When you begin your day with mindfulness, instead of rushing, you teach your mind patience. When you start with gratitude, you teach your heart abundance. When you start with reflection, you teach your soul direction. And when you start with consistency, you teach your life discipline. Many people say they don't have time for a morning routine. But the truth is, everyone has a morning routine. It's just that most routines are unconscious. Checking your phone is a routine. Overthinking is a routine. Rushing without breathing is a routine. The question is not whether you have a routine. The real question is whether your current routine supports your growth or sabotages it. Even a simple morning routine can change your entire life. Waking up a little earlier to breathe, meditate, stretch, journal, reflect, pray, read, or sit in silence, even for a few minutes, creates a ripple effect on the rest of your day. That little time you invest in yourself becomes a source of strength when challenges appear. It becomes a reminder of your intention when distractions tempt you. It becomes a calm anchor in the middle of emotional storms. Think about the difference between waking up calmly and waking up in a rush. When you rush, your body gets stressed before anything even happens. Your mind enters survival mode. You react impulsively. You feel like you're chasing time. But when you start your day with intention, you feel grounded. You respond better. You think clearly. You feel ahead of time instead of behind it. This difference is not small. It affects your decisions, your relationships, your productivity, your emotional balance, and your overall quality of life. A morning routine also teaches you mastery over your mind. It requires you to wake up and make a choice that is slightly uncomfortable. Getting out of bed when you could sleep longer. Choosing stillness when the phone is calling. Choosing presence when distraction feels easier. These small choices strengthen your mental discipline. They build inner power. They help you train your mind to obey your goals instead of your cravings. Another powerful aspect of a morning routine is that it creates space for self-connection. In the rush of daily life, we forget to check in with ourselves. We forget to ask, how am I feeling today? What do I want to focus on? What can I let go of? What energy do I want to carry forward? A morning practice gives you those answers. It helps you understand yourself better. It slows you down enough to notice your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. It allows you to start the day from a place of awareness instead of autopilot. When you build a consistent morning routine, you also build momentum. The first thing you do each day influences the next. One positive action leads to another. One intentional choice leads to better decisions later. A good morning becomes a productive day. A productive day becomes a strong week. Strong weeks create powerful months, and those months shape your entire year. It doesn't matter if your morning routine is 5 minutes or 50 minutes. What matters is that it's yours, that it's intentional, that it reminds you every single day to choose growth over chaos, that it becomes a ritual that resets your mind and prepares you for the world. A morning routine is like meeting the best version of yourself before meeting anyone else. It's the pause before the noise, the breath before the responsibilities, the moment where you decide who you will be for the rest of the day. If you want your 2026 to be calmer, stronger, more focused, more joyful, then you must begin with your mornings. Because the day doesn't shape the morning shapes the day, and your days shape your life. 1 hour for growth every single day can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine right now. Most people spend their days reacting to messages, reacting to problems, reacting to the demands of others. And by the time the day ends, they realize they invested no time in themselves. They lived the entire day for everything and everyone except their own development. But when you dedicate even 1 hour a day purely to growth, you shift from living passively to living intentionally. You begin to build a life instead of just managing one. Growth doesn't happen automatically with age. It happens with attention. It happens with conscious effort. It happens when you make a deliberate choice to nourish your mind, your skills, and your inner world. That 1 hour becomes the fuel for your expansion. It becomes the space where your future is shaped quietly, consistently, steadily. Think about how easily we waste an hour scrolling social media, watching random videos, overthinking, gossiping, or simply drifting aimlessly. These moments feel harmless, but they add up to months and years of lost potential. Now imagine if that same hour is invested in learning something meaningful, developing a skill, reading something that elevates your perspective, practicing something that sharpens your intelligence, or doing something that makes you stronger mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Over time, these hours shape an entirely new version of you. 1 hour for growth is not about perfection. It's not about learning everything in one day. It's about consistency. It's about progress. It's about the decision to be better than you were yesterday. Even a small improvement, repeated daily, becomes a massive shift over weeks and months. An hour of reading increases your knowledge. An hour of studying a craft improves your competence. An hour of meditation sharpens your awareness. An hour of journaling strengthens your clarity. An hour of practice builds mastery. When you give yourself this daily hour, you are sending a message to your future. I am preparing for you. Many people say they want to change their life, but their daily habits do not support that desire. They want success without learning. They want confidence without understanding themselves. They want opportunities without developing skills. They want peace without practicing inner stillness. They want growth without investing the time that growth requires. But life doesn't work like that. Growth always demands intention. It asks for commitment. And 1 hour a day is not a sacrifice, it is a gift. The beauty of dedicating 1 hour to growth is that it creates alignment. Instead of living scattered and distracted, you begin to live centered. When you grow your mind, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your results improve. When your results improve, your confidence grows. And when your confidence grows, your life expands in directions you never imagined. This 1 hour also builds discipline. It teaches you that your development is not negotiable. It becomes a routine that gradually shifts the way you see yourself. You no longer feel stuck because you know you're moving forward daily. You no longer feel unprepared because you're sharpening your skills. You no longer feel restless because your mind is being nourished. You no longer feel insecure because your knowledge is growing. Growth eliminates many of the fears that come from stagnation. Most importantly, this 1 hour becomes a sanctuary, a space separate from the noise of the world, a space where you reconnect with your goals, your purpose, your values, a space where no one else's expectations matter, a space that strengthens your identity. In that hour, you meet the person you're becoming. You see glimpses of your potential. You begin to believe in possibilities again. Sometimes, people avoid growth because growth feels uncomfortable. Learning exposes your weaknesses. Self-reflection reveals your patterns. Practice demands patience, but this discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Avoiding growth keeps you safe but stuck. Investing in growth keeps you progressing, even when change feels slow. You don't need to improve everything at once. You just need to improve something regularly. If you stay consistent for just 30 days, 1 hour daily, you will feel the shift. Your thoughts will become cleaner. Your confidence will become stronger. Your focus will become sharper. Your decisions will become wiser. And slowly, without forcing anything, your life will begin to rise to meet the person you're becoming. Success is not built in massive leaps. It is built in small, daily investments that compound into strength. 1 hour every day is more than a habit. It's a declaration that you are no longer willing to live on autopilot. A declaration that your future deserves attention. A declaration that your mind deserves nourishment. A declaration that your life deserves growth. And when you start giving yourself this hour consistently, something extraordinary happens. The world around you begins to respond differently. Opportunities appear, ideas flow, people notice your change. Your energy shifts, your confidence radiates, your path becomes clearer. You attract what aligns with your growth because you are actively growing. An hour a day doesn't just change your day, it changes your year, it changes your identity, it changes the direction of your life. And in the end, the person who grows daily can never remain the same. Their future expands with every effort they make. 1 hour for growth is not time spent, it is time invested. And the return on that investment is a completely transformed version of you. Create boundaries, not excuses. This single shift can completely redefine the way you live, think, and protect your inner world. Most people don't realize how much of their stress, frustration, and exhaustion comes from one simple pattern. They allow everything and everyone to access their time, energy, emotions, and attention without limits. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate things they should walk away from. They give more than they can handle, and slowly they lose themselves in the process. Boundaries are not walls. They are not selfish. They are not rude. Boundaries are acts of self-respect. They are the invisible lines that protect your mental peace, your emotional stability, your time, and your well-being. Without boundaries, your life becomes a playground for distractions, unnecessary obligations, draining relationships, and overwhelming responsibilities. With boundaries, you gain control over your life again. Excuses, on the other hand, are the stories we tell ourselves to avoid discomfort. They sound reasonable, even convincing. I can't say no, they'll be upset. I don't want to disappoint anyone. It's easier to just do it myself. I'll set boundaries later. Excuses come wrapped in emotional comfort, but inside them lies self-betrayal. When you choose excuses, you sacrifice your peace to maintain temporary convenience. When you choose boundaries, you protect your future, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Creating boundaries starts with understanding that your time and energy are limited resources. Just like money, they must be spent wisely. You cannot invest in your goals, dreams, or personal growth if you are constantly drained by things that don't align with your values. You cannot show up fully in your life if you are mentally exhausted from saying yes to every request. You cannot become the person you want to be if you keep compromising your needs to satisfy others. One of the biggest challenges people face is the fear of saying no. We fear judgment, conflict, rejection, or disappointing someone. But the truth is, every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are silently saying no to yourself. You are saying no to your peace, your rest, your dreams, and your growth. Boundaries teach you to honor your own life just as much as you honor others. They remind you that your well-being matters. You must understand that people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always resist when you finally set them. That is normal. When you stop giving unlimited access to your energy, some will call you distant. When you stop solving everyone's problems, some will call you selfish. When you stop being available 24/7, some will call you changed. But that is exactly the point. You should change. You should protect your peace. You should choose what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. Boundaries also help you create a healthier environment. You begin to surround yourself with people who respect your time, your emotions, and your priorities. You stop entertaining negativity. You stop saying yes to chaos. You stop letting guilt drive your decisions. You begin to understand your worth, and you start acting according to it. This inner strength attracts people who value you instead of those who use you. Another important aspect of boundaries is setting limits for yourself. Sometimes the person who violates your peace the most is you. You overwork, you overgive, you overstress, you overthink, you overcommit. You feel responsible for things that are not your responsibility. You carry emotional weight that isn't yours to carry. You stretch yourself so thin trying to meet expectations that you forget to take care of your own needs. Self-boundaries teach discipline. They help you stop self-sabotaging behaviors. They help you say, enough, even when your old patterns try to pull you back. Boundaries are not only external, they are internal too. Internal boundaries include controlling your negative thoughts, avoiding toxic habits, managing your digital consumption, limiting unhealthy temptations, and protecting yourself from your own impulses. These boundaries shape your character. They define who you become. Without them, your mind becomes chaotic. With them, your mind becomes your strongest ally. When you create strong boundaries, you feel lighter, you feel clearer, you feel more in control. You no longer carry the emotional burdens of the world. You no longer allow others to dictate your life. You no longer apologize for choosing yourself. For the first time, you feel free, free from pressure, free from guilt, free from mental clutter. But remember, boundaries are not about anger or revenge. They are about clarity. They are about choosing peace over chaos. They are about loving yourself enough to stop letting the world drain you. They are about giving yourself permission to rest, to grow, to focus, and to heal. Some people will not understand your boundaries. That's okay. They understand you better without them because your lack of boundaries benefited them. But the people who truly value you will respect your limits. They will support your growth. They will walk with you instead of walking over you. If you want your 2026 to be healthier, calmer, and more powerful, you must learn to choose boundaries over excuses. Excuses will keep you stuck. Boundaries will set you free. The life you want cannot coexist with the habits that keep draining you. And boundaries are the bridge between the life you live and the life you deserve.